County Sheriff Danita Ball, and welcome to our Behind the Badge podcast. Today, I'm happy to interview Captain James Novotny of the Professional Standards Division. He has been with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office for over 30 years, and he's getting ready to retire. And so I wanted to sit down and have a conversation with him before he left. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us what made you decide to apply with the Sheriff's Office, but also to get into law enforcement?
Yeah, as you said, 30 years. I'll have to really stretch my memory. Law enforcement was always something I looked at with respect as a kid.
Mhm.
There was nobody in my family that was in law enforcement, so I didn't have any examples,
Mhm.
but I admired police.
Okay.
And I have to admit, there was some element of television. I was a kid in the 70s, so I was watching TV shows, and my heroes tend to be police officers. And to go a little further, even movies like Serpico,
Oh, wow.
about Frank Serpico,
Mhm.
inspired me because it showed somebody, an officer of integrity, doing a really difficult thing for the greater good. And I found that inspirational and felt like it was something, I would like to do. And the Milwaukee Police Department at the same time, and the Sheriff's Office called me first, fortunately. And I was already here and set up for training when I received a call from that great organization, but I decided to stick it out here. I'm really glad I did.
And so are we.
Thank you.
As we know, things can change pretty quickly. How has things changed from the time when you were a deputy sheriff to now?
Wow. Computers. Computers were pretty much in their infancy when I started. But aside from technology, which has been probably the most impactful enforcement with respect to body cameras and squad cams and cell phones and things like that, I think public perception has changed several times since I started in the mid 90s, going through periods of pro law enforcement and then periods where police are looked at with more distrust. So I think that pendulum has swung a few times.
But also, when you started out in the jail. So all the deputies started in the jail. So how long did it take for you to get out of the jail?
Okay, yeah, that's a good story to say. I got out of jail. It took about 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Back then. And we did. We started in the jail, and I think it was a really good thing for us to do that, actually, because we learned to communicate with people under very bad circumstances, sometimes difficult circumstances, people who weren't having good days, people who didn't want to be there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great tool for us young deputies to learn how to diffuse situations verbally and hopefully avoid a use of force type situation. So I'm glad, and I know it benefited me when I finally did get transferred out of the jail to have that experience behind me.
Well, good. And where have you worked? So you've been on the job for over 30 years, and what different areas have you worked in?
As stated, as quite a bit of time in the jail. I did some time on patrol, the old county grounds, the institution grounds, when we had law enforcement responsibilities at the hospitals, courts, criminal investigations division, and professional standards division current. And some of those places I worked several times in different periods. You go back and forth, and at different ranks between deputy, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain.
So what did you find was the most rewarding regarding your career in law enforcement?
I think the feeling that you're doing something that is of value to the public. I know every job, first and foremost, is important. And I'm not disparaging any career or anything, but I've always personally looked at a few careers as being of immense service: military, firefighting, medical fields like nursing, teachers,
Mhm.
and law enforcement. And so I feel like I did something worthwhile and valuable with these 30 years.
Also, can you tell us what advice would you give to someone who's looking to perhaps get into law enforcement?
Yes. Pay attention to details. I would first advise people to learn as much as they can and attend training, whether it be through a technical school or a university, to develop their education. But once they get into this field, pay attention to the details. Look at the small things. Notice the small things. If you see a small problem, fix it. It's going to become a big problem. It will. The small problems always become big problems. We have to address them. When I was a sergeant in the jail, I would tell officers and deputies at roll call, your main job is to prevent bad things from happening. You have a lot of different tasks and ways of accomplishing that, but at the most basic common level is you're here to prevent bad things from happening. So the way to do that is to become aware of them. You have to notice things going wrong to fix them.
Good. And we know that every day is not a perfect day. So, what do you like least about your job?
Oh, well, over the years and in various assignments, I'm fortunate now that I have more of an office type job, but I haven't always had that. And dealing with people on the worst days of their lives is the worst thing. Unfortunate circumstances, tragic circumstances, people who have lost loved ones. That's hard. Um, a good friend of mine from the training academy, Sergio Aliman, lost his life on the job. That it doesn't get much worse than that. So the fact that law enforcement is exposed to some tragedy sometimes is definitely the worst aspect.
So, in your 30 years, I'm pretty sure you made many friendships, done a lot of things on the job. What do you think that you're going to miss the most about the sheriff's office?
There's a lot of camaraderie. Um, you develop friendships from the earliest days in the training academy where you become really close to your classmates and your coworkers ultimately. And that doesn't change over the decades.
Mhm.
And I think I can't say it's particularly unique. Everybody has long-term friendships, but there's I think, a special bond in the law enforcement community where you really trust people with your safety and your life sometimes. And I'm going to miss that. And also knowing that, I was involved in something of importance to the community. I think I'll miss that.
So, you're retiring from the Professional Standards Division. Why is that division so important, especially, to the public or to law enforcement?
So, yeah, the Professional Standards Division, a lot of people might know it as Internal Affairs, and we investigate allegations of policy violations on the part of our employees. And I think that's critically important because we need the public to appreciate, to trust us. We need to gain and then maintain the trust of the public. We don't always have it to begin with, and we have to do our part to get that trust. And we're not going to do it if we don't investigate and hold accountable our own people when they either make mistakes or much worse, when they're involved in misconduct. So that's of critical value. I also think, though, the other side of the coin is that we also, in professional standards, have the opportunity to exonerate through investigation some allegations and prove that an officer did not do anything wrong or commit a violation as alleged. And I think that's of equal value.
So in less than 2 weeks, you'll be retired. Do you have any plans for retirement?
Well, yeah, I'm sure my wife has plans for me.
Honey-do list or
Yes,
something?
I've heard that term mentioned already. But yeah, I've got 3 daughters. I've got a granddaughter
Oh, wow.
now, and one thing in this profession, I have missed a lot of time, a lot of events and things, and I want to make up for that. I want to spend as much time as I can being present with my family, being there for them, and I don't have any specific, trips or anything planned, but hopefully there'll be some things like that. And at some point, I do think I'll probably look for something part-time, and if something opens up where I might be able to use some of the abilities or skills I've learned over these 30 years, maybe with MCSO, we have several part-time positions that we offer. I'll probably look into something like that.
You're welcome to come back anytime. So.
I may hold you to that. Thank you.
Is there anything that you wanted to accomplish while you were in law enforcement that you didn't have an opportunity to?
One thing I always wanted to do, and I guess this goes back to being the kid watching the TV shows, but I actually never held the rank of detective. I was a supervisor in criminal investigation, so I supervised detectives, but I was never one myself. I think I missed out on that, and I would have liked to have done that.
All right. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you'd like to add?
I would add that, and I think I touched on it actually, this is a great organization, and I feel like I put in a lot of myself to it, but I've received equal measure in return, and I would just advise anybody else who works with us to look at it the same way. It's something you'll get out what you put in, and I just want to thank you for your time and inviting me to this today.
Well, thank you. I've said publicly, I've said privately that I appreciate the support that I've gotten from you. You have been a resource for not only the agency, but for me personally. And if I call upon you to do something, you're going to try and do it. And oftentimes you do it. So I wish you the best in retirement. And there's everything that I can do for you. Please let me know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Sheriff.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.